and welcome to another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. Today we watched Season 6, Episode 14, Bart's Comet.
Bart's Comet. I remembered the opening scene just by knowing the title, the whole Big Butt Skinner thing with the weather balloon.
Release the balloon!
But doing that, he discovers a comet.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets even worse because the comet is hurling towards Springfield and is going to destroy everything. So, of course, the great leadership of Springfield puts together a plan, and it doesn't go too good. And a lot of silly stuff. I like this one. It's pretty good. So why don't we get started with our lines as usual? Hit me with line number 1.
So, at the beginning of the episode, when Bart has to get up at 4 a.m. to go and help Skinner out with the astronomy project, his amateur astronomy, whatever, he tries to wake Marge up to get breakfast made for him, and she says, "There's a stuffed pepper in the trash can from last night. Just rinse it off well."
Because she does not want to get up.
She does not want to get up and
breakfast.
make breakfast. So he left the house shortly after on his bike. I don't know if he ate breakfast or if he skipped it. So that's up to our imagination. What about you?
So when they put together a plan to deal with the comet coming, they get like the town is all coming out to see if it's going to work, and there's a siren. It's like a warning siren. Well, Grandpa and Jasper are sitting outside like on rocking chairs, and Grandpa says, "Sounds like the doomsday whistle. Hasn't been blown in nigh on 3 years." And Jasper's like, "Trouble of ruin." So I'm like, I wonder what happened 3 years ago that they had to blow the doomsday whistle.
Exactly.
And they didn't seem too concerned about it,
Nope.
but they were just going to hit the old rocking chair and watch it come down. But
Watch the world end around them. Oh boy. I may regret this when the air runs out and we can't whistle or breathe.
But come on in.
Come on in. And that was good old Ned, who has a bomb shelter that he made large enough for the Simpson family because he had some inkling that Homer was going to try and kick him out or take over or whatever Homer always does. Mm-hmm. And then the entire town of Springfield wants to fit into the shelter as well. And they definitely are going to run out of air. But they couldn't shut the door. There were too many people in there, so they had a little bit of air, I guess.
Not much, though.
No. What about you?
Well, my second line is right before that, and it's the exact same scene. And it's after he lets Homer and the family in, and then there's another knock on the door. And Ned opens up, and there's the whole town. And so Ned says, "Well, howdly doodly, neighbors. Shouldn't you be in your shelterinis by now?" And then Moe's like, "We don't have shelterinis. We want in yours." And then it leads into your line. So we did the whole scene for you right there. There you go.
A little bit backwards,
but hey, you get it.
Speaking of scenes, what's your favorite scene this episode?
I've got to go with the town meeting scene. So, of course, when they discover that the comet's coming, there's a town meeting to discuss what to do about it. And it starts with Quimby. We see Comet and Springfield and Moe's Tavern.
Yes.
And then it blows up in the next page, and Moe's like, "Oh, dear God." And then it goes to Frank, and Frank's like, "Yes, here's what we're going to do." And he has this whole, diorama set up with a rocket that's going to hit the thing, and it's got a mechanical device that makes the toy rocket look like it's going to hit the comet. And I don't know. I just think they had a lot of time to put a lot of thought into.
I know, and then, but with Frank's plan, there's also a Moe's Tavern in that diorama, and a piece of the rocket lands on Moe's Tavern and also explodes it. So no matter what, Moe's Tavern is in trouble.
Exactly. That's what made sense so good. I was like, oh dear God.
Twice. So no wonder he wanted in.
Yeah, he wanted it, yeah.
Yep. We are also getting attacked by a cat underneath the table, just in case
you see us squirming around. It's because we got a Vera over here clawing our legs. So
getting us.
That's so just the way it goes.
She may have jumped down, but she's very much still in here participating. So I went with my scene at the beginning of the episode, pretty much right off the get-go, when all the kids are outside and they launch the weather balloon, and then Bart has turned the weather balloon into Skinner, and he pulls a string and it flaps down, and so Big Butt Skinner is launched, and then Skinner is so upset, and then he has Bart unveil what's in his pockets, and that's the scene I went with, because Bart has so much stuff in his pants pockets and in his shorts pockets, including blueprints for the weather balloon and notarized pictures. And so that just kind of cracked me up that he took time to get everything notarized and, alternative copyright names along with his slingshot and rocks and everything else he has in his pockets.
So, bonus question for those watching, let us know in the comments, what is the alternate title for the Big Butt Skinner banner? Let us know. I'd like to hear if you got an answer to that. Yep. That would be great.
Yep. So again, this is episode 14, season 6. Give it a watch and answer in the comments.
That's right.
What about your winner this week?
So I actually found a few that I thought would work, and so I actually wrote several down. But you know how I like to go obscure, so I'm going to go with the penguins in the zoo. Because, of course, none of this works. They blow up the bridge with a rocket. The rocket doesn't work, so they can't escape. And so everybody's panicking. It leads to the whole Ned shelter scene. But the zoo is like, the animals are like, what are we going to do? And the penguins are like, heck with this. They start flying. They fly away. And I'm like, the penguins found their secret power. When the chips were down, they survived. They flew out of there. So I'm like, penguins, I dig it. You're good to go.
That's funny. Well, I also went a little obscure, and I picked Warren at the observatory for hogging the eyepiece.
I love it. Yeah, his partner lady, whatever her name was, she's like, Warren, stop hogging everything.
The eyepiece, yep. So it sounded like Warren always was looking out of the telescope at the observatory, and she never got a chance. So that was what I went with. Right. What about your loser?
There were quite a few of them, too, and I got a feeling we might be on the same one here, so hopefully you got some backups.
I do.
But I'm going to go with the pilots at the very beginning. So when the weather balloon's flying, Willie tries to shoot it down with a gun, and he grazes some Navy or like Marines and like military pilots flying by in like military jets, and they're like, oh, there's a bogey shooting at us. And it looks like Willie's silhouette, and it says Iraqi.
Yeah.
Iraqi blades or whatever. So they try to shoot Willie down, and the guy shoots his partner and himself down.
Yep.
And then the parachutes fail.
Yes.
And then they argue over whether the tax money should be spent on the military or healthcare. And then they start punching each other.
Yep.
So I'm like, them pilots did not have a good day.
Nope. Not at all.
So that was mine.
That's funny. I did not write them down because I figured you were going to write them down. And I went with a mentioned Principal Cahotek, which Skinner was having Bart help him with astronomy, and he was really salty about this other principal who beat him to the punch that Skinner had made sighting and called, and by the time he got to the phone, this other principal, his arch enemy that we know nothing about other than Skinner got dark,
Yeah.
and sounded like he got revenge
Against
in whatever way about the other principal and his boy. So those are my losers for this.
And you know how the music got
yes, it was
ominous
ominous
color.
Yep.
It got dark and zoomed in on him, and it's like, what did Skinner do?
I know.
Man?
So that's who I went with this week.
That's a good one.
I also just have to give a shout out to the chalkboard scene at the beginning. It said, cursive writing does not mean what I think it does. And of course, that's Bart writing it.
Of course.
I
You can
thought that was
imagine
pretty
what
great.
he thought it meant and
Yep.
what he wrote down.
So that was our episode for this week.
Mm-hmm.
There are some really great lines and some great scenes. I highly recommend to watch. And feel free to make your comments in the comments below. Share your favorites with us. We'd love to see what you have to say. Give us a thumbs up if you appreciated this episode. And watch our other episode reviews as well. Feel free to subscribe in the corner. And until next time,
Jiminy Jillikers!
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Hey, Sarah, Sarah, what